Hello everybody and welcome back to the Menagerie series. And I'm joined here today by Mr. Pig. Say hi, Mr. Pig. Okay. I'm joined here by Mr. Pig, and I thought I would show you my Christmas tree. What do you guys think? What do you think, Mr. Pig?
They've already seen the Christmas tree.
They have? When?
When you built it about 3 months ago.
Are you sure?
Of course I'm sure, I'm a pig.
Oh, cut this out. I don't want this in the video. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Menagerie series. And if any of you have wondered what kind of a range the projectile spells have, well, they can reach far enough. Let's say this hole here in the side of my house was caused by me directly working with a projectile dig spell that I shot errantly and missed what I was originally aiming for. And this is basically the end result of that. So, yeah, in case you were wondering. But anyway, today I thought I would show you the Ark. Here it is. Ta-da! It's over here, and it is basically done. I mean, I think it is done. And there it is. I'm sorry for the jungle tree there in the way, but there you kind of see how big it looks. Now, I will tell you that I have modeled this primarily based upon like a tanker ship, like a cargo type of a vessel. And so, anyway, let's go take a look. I've got a quarry running underneath it because I don't really need any land to be underneath it. But let's go down. We'll go down to the end here, and let me just bolster my flight spell so I don't follow the sky. So you can see here on the ends, it's it's rounded off at the bottom. There we go. And you can see it kind of goes rounds down like this, and that is of course to give it nice rounded sides to help it float, and also align the center of gravity down the middle of the ship to keep it from tipping over. And then of course on the ends it's also kind of rounded out somewhat. It comes out and then back, and that's also to help with its ability to float. Now this side and that side over there are exactly identical, so there is no basically there is no bow and stern or front and back, and that's by design. The Ark is not something that was designed to be steered, and so it doesn't have a need for a front and back. And similarly, there's no rudder, there's no steering wheel. Remember, the Ark would just float and be guided by divine providence, so that there was no need for there to be an ability to steer it, and there's no need for that. And then that means that there's no need for a front and back. I had built the entire thing out of redwood wood, redwood wood, which is this colored wood right down here. But it made it look very dull and had no depth to it. Even all of this was redwood, all of this up here. So I read or heard somewhere that when you're designing something, you should use 3 different colors. Now, of course, you're supposed to use 3 complementary colors, and I really don't know what that means because I am not artistic or design worthy in any way, shape, or form. But these were the colors that I had. Redwood wood, which came from the redwood forests. This here is spruce wood. If you remember, I was using spruce wood in my tree farm, my automated tree farm there, to create my charcoal and whatnot. And this white wood is the poplar wood, I believe, from the Highlands mod, where I started my base off way in the corner. And it's also the white coloring that I used to build my house with. So I ended up with this color scheme which I'm using, which is not, maybe the most complementary color scheme, but it is a lot better with 3 different colors than it was with only 1 color. And of course, then at the top here, it kind of bows up a little bit for, any kind of splashage. And I just put a nice, I think this is quartz wall here along the side just to kind of fill it out a little bit. When it came to the end of the boats here, I thought I wanted some type of a masthead or something that would go here, something grand and epic. But instead, I put down this sigil stand with, this is a sigil of the light, and this is keeping this whole area lit up fairly well. I am having issues with lighting, keeping this thing lit up, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, in the description of the Ark, at least the biblical description of the Ark, there's very little said about it other than its dimensions. One thing that's said is that there would be a covering over the top of the Ark, and it's not really clear what that is meant, but later in the story... Oh, good, it's raining. Alright, well, I can show you another thing I've done here. If you remember, I told you that when it rains, I get buffeted around, which is happening to me right now. Fortunately, I have made a stop rain spell, and just a little cast of that will cause it to stop raining fairly quickly. There we go. So I keep that, and then I don't have to worry about being thrown around. Okay, so anyway, that there'd be some type of covering over the top of the boat, and more than likely, the top of the Ark would have been a series of panels, and then these panels could then be thrown off once the Ark landed. But it's hard really to create that, so I just made a slight thing here using some slabs and some trapdoors, and these are half slabs of ice blocks, which I just thought looked kind of cool up here. And then you can also see that I have some glowstone here set in just a simple little pattern, which was mainly used not only to keep lit up this top area. I have a rat there, which isn't perfect, but I mean, it's not perfect as far as keeping the monsters out, but it does a fairly good job. But also for lighting the insides. Now, the other thing that is mentioned in the description of the Ark is that the door would be set on the side. So I have done so with a ramp leading from the ground up to the entrance, and that rat just committed suicide by jumping off of the Ark. Anyway, a ramp that would lead from the ground up to the entrance to the Ark. Now, the entrance to the Ark is way up here. The reason for that is because due to buoyancy, center of gravity, or maybe not all that, I don't know, I'm throwing out terms. Mainly because of the weight, not only the weight of the vessel, but once it had contents. The water line, when this would be in the water line would probably be up to here, to be honest with you. But I'm taking some liberties and saying the water line maybe came up to where I put the split between the redwood wood and the spruce wood. And so the door would have to be above the water line. It would not make sense for the door to be way down here, because then it would be submerged by the water. So it is up here. This here is vibrant quartz glass. And I should... Well, you can't see it. I'll have to show it to you on the inside. You might be able to see that there is a scorpion right inside the doorway here. I don't want him to come out. He's a part of something I want to show you. He has killed the 2 horses that I had in here. And I forgot that I had that. Alright. Let me just get enough far away from him so he stops chasing me. Okay. Alright, so here I have quartz glass, and on the sides are quartz glass, and in the middle is vibrant quartz glass. You can see the vibrant quartz glass, it has these little particle effects here in the middle. And I'm using vibrant quartz glass here the vibrant quartz glass generates a little bit of light of its own. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. But I liked this quartz glass mainly because of this black border around it. It kind of made it really look like it was a porthole, which is what these are supposed to be, little portholes that, people would be able to look out. And then, as I said, I also put the quartz glass here. And again, it has connected textures, so there's not, the black is only around the outline. And I don't know, I just kind of like the way that looks as far as if you were looking upward into the sky there. So inside, again, there are 3 levels, and we can fly down. First, the bottom level, second level, and the top level. And I have a ramp that goes from between the 3 different levels, basically. I have one on each side of the arc, and one in the middle right as you come in through the doorway there. And again, trying to avoid the scorpion. Now, so as I think I mentioned before, my original idea, these chests, anvil, and bed are here temporarily. They won't remain here, but they were here while I was working on stuff. It was just easier to have a place to keep them. And then, of course, on these ramps, I have little support pillars. Not a big deal. Now, inside here, I had, as I said, I did have 2 horses that were here, and I believe the scorpion did kill them. And I have set up the sigil stands with the sigil of containment, and if you remember me talking about, this was the way I wanted to contain the animals in here. But I have run into an issue, and it took me a little bit of time in figuring this out, basically, but I have actually several issues. The first issue is that the sigil of containment will not contain any monsters that can move about, because there's a scorpion, he's contained within the sigil, but then he jumps, and when he jumps over the wall of the sigil of containment. So the bottom line is that I cannot use the sigils of containment for anything that can come after me. So again, there's another scorpion. It's within that sigil of containment, but as soon as it figures out that I'm here and it wants to come get me, it will just jump up and over. No, this one doesn't want to come get me. Hey, 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 you. There you go. So he comes to get me, and he just goes up and over them. So unfortunately, that makes the sigils of containment not useful as far as the certain kinds of animals that I want to contain. The other problem I have with them is a little bit harder to describe, but this sigil of containment protects an area, as it says, within a 4-block radius. So if I stand here and count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then stand here, you'll see the particle effects here, which is great. However, if you go to the other side and 1, 2, 3, 4, now you see the particle effects. So here it was 1, 2, 3, and then 4 particle effects. Here it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then particle effects. The same thing goes the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4 particle effects. 1, 2, 3, 4, no particle effects, but if I could stand in the wall, you would see it there. And here you can see it goes the other way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, here's the particle effect. And on this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and here's the particle effect. So the issue, so I have this asymmetry in how this would work, because here, going towards the wall, my particle effect is on this line. But here, going towards the wall, my particle effect is not on this line. Why does this happen? Well, it happens because despite the way this looks, you have to remember that this is how something is rendered on your screen, how it's drawn, but it's not how it's encoded in the game. The the truth of the matter is that this sigil is at a location that is in a corner. And I believe it is this corner right here that I'm pointing at right now. So if you start from this corner, you go 1, 2, going by, not counting the block, but I'm going by the line. So this corner is 1 to here, this line, 2, 3, and then 4, and then I get the sigil effect here. And if I go this way, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and get the effect here. The same going this direction. Remember, I'm starting in this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then effect. We're starting this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then effect. So blocks in Minecraft are actually located at this corner, but when they're drawn on the screen, they're drawn so they fill this block. So when it says it protects a radius of 4, it does if you count the 4 from this particular corner. And that's just, essentially, that's just the way Minecraft works. Which would be great in most normal circumstances. You wouldn't have to worry about that particular issue. But for me and the design of what I want to do in the Ark, it's not going to work out because, you know, I wanted this to be the line of protection as it would be here. You can see I have the same space here, and that's not going to be the case. And so that causes just a little bit of mental problems for me because I don't like the way that that would end up looking. So I'm not going to use the sigil of containment within the Ark. I'm probably just going to use standard fences for the animals, and then I can use higher, I can even make a fence all the way to the top for those animals that are considered hostile. The other thing I have to make sure is that I have enough room. With these sigils of containment, you know, they would take up this much space. This is as many sigils of containment as I could put in the Ark, and I don't know if that would be enough. So, whereas if I use fencing, I could make smaller areas safe for chickens. They wouldn't necessarily need as much space as, say, Mr. Pig, who probably doesn't need as much space as Mr. and Mrs. Horse, who were right here and happy until that scorpion killed them, which is a real bummer. So, the other issue that I have is in lighting. Keeping everything lit up is a real pain. As you can see, I have just spammed a ton of torches in here, which, number one, is ugly and doesn't look good, and number two, once I start putting in fencing and things, then I won't really have a place for all those torches to be. Now, I use this glowstone pattern, and basically it's this glowstone, this vibrant glass in the middle, and then glowstone and vibrant glass. All of that is what's able to keep this level lit up. But to repeat that on the ground of each level, I don't necessarily like the idea of that. So what I'm going to do, I think, is use a sigil of the light, much as I have used the sigil of the light for the mastheads. Oops. On top of the ship there, on the edges. So I'm going to make a sigil of the light real quick, and then I'm going to show you how it works or what it does, and you'll see it's really a pretty neat little thing. Okay, one other thing I thought I'd show you real quick. I have made myself an experience farm, a small experience farm. It's very rudimentary. Using my spawner wrench, I brought over a blaze spawner. It drops the blazes into water, as you can see there. Put that back. Once in the water, it washes them down to a location here. And sometimes they get killed off, and other times they just drop in here. And I can hit them with one of my spells and kill them and get the experience. I didn't need a fancy experience farm, and the only reason I needed the experience farm was because I'm going to use name tags, I think, on the animals. yeah, I think I'm going to use name tags on the animals, and that requires using them in a anvil, and each time that costs 5 experience points. Okay, I went ahead and took some time to make sure that my applied energistics system knows how to make the sigil of the light for me automatically, which would be nice. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and take out these torches real quick so you can kind of see. It'll be a better effect for you to see how this sigil of light works, or not how it works maybe so much as how well it works. And the sigil of light basically does as it says, it lights up an area around it. The area that it lights up is, I believe, 16 by 16. And as far as I know, you cannot use inlays to make that area be any bigger. So you just have to use one every 16 blocks or so. So there you can see this area is pretty dark. Obviously, I've got a little bit of light coming from this glowstone. From up there, what I have done real quick is I put a piece of glowstone underneath each one of these sigils of containment. My idea was to put grass around it and have the animals on that. And I thought that would look kind of nice, but I won't be using the sigils of containment, so we'll see how that works. But again, this is pretty basic. You just use a sigil stand, and you can plop the sigil stand down anywhere. We'll put it right here in the middle of this, and take this sigil of light and stick it on there, and it'll instantly light up a little area. And if you wait just a little bit of time, you'll see more and more of the area getting lit up. You can kind of see it happening there as more and more of it lights up. And that is what the sigil of light does. It's fairly slick. It does light up a pretty big area. As you can see, it's lit up this whole area. And if I use an F3, block light level is at 11 or 12 pretty much, or even higher pretty much everywhere in this area that's affected by the sigil of light. So that is really, really good. It's very nice. The main thing I would say I don't like about it is the fact that it has to be on that sigil stand. It would be nice if there was a way to put it, somewhere else or along other areas. If you could hang it from a ceiling, hang it from the ceiling, or hang it on the walls, or anything like that. That would be kind of neat and cool. But unfortunately, it does not work that way. So that is okay. I will basically go through and figure out how many of those I need to keep all the decks of the Ark lit up properly. So again, I can see I would put another one probably right about here, but I will go through and use a bit of that Minecraft OCD to make sure that everything is sort of perfectly lined out where it's supposed to be. And if you take down the sigil like so, you can see all of that lighting just goes away. And you can put the sigil wherever you like, and it will proceed to light up the area around it again. So pretty neat little thing. And I think that is what I will end up using to do the rest of the lighting for the Ark, because it provides a great amount of light in a large area, and it will be less busy than having all the torches that were spammed in this area, as you can see over here with all the torches. I don't know if this will come through on the video, but this non-repeating, or this very singular pattern of the redwood wood, it's almost like a little dizzying because there's no breakup to it. It's just the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and it gets to be. And that was one of the reasons why I ended up having to, not having to, but deciding that I wanted to add additional colors, because it was just too much. When this whole Ark was made out of one color, it really did not look good, for one, and it was just, it would make you dizzy looking at it. So So anyway, that is the Ark. The Ark is built, and as you can see, I have been working on getting some animals in there. Mr. Pig is now in there. Mr. and Mrs. Horse will have to be replaced, unfortunately. But so yeah, that is the Ark. As you can see, the structure of it is built. Now we just need to populate it. And if you're wondering, I was over here when I don't remember if I was taking out the wood to put in the glass or I was taking out the redwood wood to put in the spruce wood, but I was using my dig projectile spell and probably hit it a little one too many times, and that's what shot through and hit my house and damaged it. So the range on these things is pretty good. Let me see if I aim this at, I'm going to aim this at my things there, and you can see it did hit it. It did hit it indeed. So the range on these spells is pretty good, and it also means it can be quite dangerous. Anyway, that's the Ark. Structure is built. We're going to start populating it with some animals, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.